Since Parkinson's is happening in the brain, it stands to reason that we exercise the brain, not just the body, along with our Parkinson's. I'm going to give some challenges to you today, and they're kind of fun. These will be written down in the Facebook posts so that you can review them. We're going to need a few things. For our first exercise, we're going to need a hand mirror. We're also going to need, for our last exercise, a toothbrush. We'll need a couple of pencils or pens. Believe it or not, maybe a stapler, maybe a paper punch, and a whole bunch of just some blank paper. You'll also need a straight edge, and you can make a straight edge, just grab an old magazine or something. It doesn't have to be all that straight, okay? Our first one is going to be the mirror. And with the mirror, we're going to change our perception of our surroundings. So, what I'd like you to do is sit down in the middle of your living room or wherever on a small enough chair or stool that you'll be able to move it around for a little bit. You're used to seeing your house one way. Artists use a real keen trick when they know something's wrong with the piece that they're working on, the flat piece that they're drawing on or something, and they can't quite put their finger on it. A lot of times what they'll do is put it up on the wall, and then they'll get a mirror, and they'll look in the mirror, and they see it so differently. They've been looking at it so tightly and working with it that they have a perception of it, and when they look at it in the mirror, it looks totally different. What I'd like you to do is change your world just a little bit by picking up a mirror and starting to look around. And I want you to look at the relationship of things that are in the house that you're used to seeing one way. In this particular case, I'm seeing that I have two tall, skinny things on one side of my television stand there. That is a television stand behind the flowers. And I actually thought that I had three tall, skinny things sitting there, so now I'm going to have to go find out what did I do with that other thing. And I'll look around, and wow, that red flower, it is really jumping out with all those purple flowers. And I hadn't really noticed that before. It's kind of like, something's different there, but now I can really put my finger, or maybe my eye on it. And I can move the mirror around and look, and you can see that up and over on the wall that there's some, there's a little stand, and that there's some figurines on the stand. And I'm really looking at the size of the figurines in relationship to each other that I've not really looked at before. So I'm going to challenge you to do that. Take a little bit of time and look around, and you might actually say, oh, that doesn't really look so good there. Maybe I better move it. That's one little trick, and when you have looked long enough in your mirror, try and give yourself, a good 5 to 15 minutes of looking in the mirror. You may look at the rest of your house the way it is normally and naturally, just a little different. We'll be moving on to the next one in just a minute. Well, that's pretty exciting, isn't it? A blank piece of paper right in front of the screen. But what I want you to do is be thinking in terms of a line. Well, how hard is it to draw a line? Everybody thinks, oh, well, we're going to draw a line. So they draw a line. But let's add something to it. Let's make that line as interesting as we can. We can change the length of the line. We could maybe continue it out. We could change the color of the line. And you can see that it's actually a thicker line as well. But what if we wanted to change the shape of the line? That's still a line in and of itself. Now, the next time somebody says line, think of what else you could do on a piece of paper with a line. I want a little challenge here. Does it have to stay on the paper the whole time? Or could that line have extended from here and then be joining the paper as it comes in and across and back off the paper? Or it could do the same thing, wiggling, come back and around, and go back off the paper. What else can you do with your line? Do you always have to use some sort of a utensil? Not necessarily. That's where you can use something like this. And we can make a line out of staples. You could use a lot of other things. Something sticky. I'm not going to tell you some sticky things. I'm going to let you think of the sticky things. But all we've done here, we've applied something to make these lines. What if we made a line by putting holes in the paper? That's still a line, but it's a see-through line. I want you to start thinking in terms of the line and the different things you can do with it. You can use the front of the paper, perhaps you can use the back of the paper. Maybe you'll want to use some fabric. Maybe you'll want to do an overlay of some kind, which would make a contrast line. But I'd like you to challenge yourself to think in terms that a line on a paper is not just a line on the paper. So first I tell you about the line, and not to think of a straight line. Good old me, along I come and say, let's draw a straight line on a piece of paper. Maybe I should have put this one before the other one. Just use a straight edge or something. It doesn't even have to be directly in the center, but draw a line. Now turn it and write something. In the written thing, I think I told you to write your name. So we'll just take and we'll write my name, which is kind of long. Let's make sure that you get 4 or 5 different letters in there, though. And there we go. We've got Cheryl. This is going to be not just redefining the line or redefining letters, but looking at those letters on a sideways tilt. What you're going to try and do is mirror image them. When you try and mirror image, you're going to feel your brain actually really start to work. You're going to have both a perception and an action thing happening because the brain is going to be telling the hand what to do. So I'm going to try and do this, and I would have you hold it up and down this way and then start to copy it. So I'm going to just turn mine a little bit so that you'll be able to see me doing this. And it's not going to be that easy. And that's kind of cheating using block letters, don't you think? But really keep your eye on the lines of the letters. See, there's those lines again. There's a straight one and a rounded one and a square one. And you'll be real surprised if you actually get this thing without turning something upside down. My brain tried to turn this L upside down and go like this and copy that instead of doing the mirror image for it. This is just a real fun thing to do. You can do this with kids too, and they just think it's an absolute scream. And then when you hold that up, this written one up to a mirror, if it's not right, the kids will be real quick to point that out to you. I think you're going to like that little one. We're going to be moving on to the last exercise here in just a moment. Okay, so here we are in my bathroom. Not just everybody invites you into their bathroom for the sake of Parkinson's, but I'm going to. One other thing that you can do is challenge yourself to do things differently. We all have a dominant hand. Well, pretty much everybody has a dominant hand. And in my case, I've got my toothbrush. Earlier I had my husband's toothbrush. He might have objected to that, so I've changed out. So when you get your toothbrush and you put on your toothpaste and everything, you do it the same way you've always done it. You've been brushing your teeth forever. Use the other hand. You will find that you are so clumsy that you amaze yourself. You're going to have to think about every surface of your teeth, every part that you would do normally with that dominant hand. And it's amazing how automatic it has become. There's a lot of other things that you can do. You may catch yourself putting on one shoe at the same, the first shoe is always the right shoe, and then the left shoe, or sock shoe, and then sock shoe. Try and shake things up a little bit. All of these different things that we've been doing today are meant for you to change your perception, meant for you to maybe redefine how you see the world, and take action in a little bit different way. I hope that this really helps you, and have a little bit of fun with it.